Hi, I'm Hope Witkowsky, your host of Senior Scene. You may have seen or heard those Amber Alerts about a child gone missing. Well, every day, a senior with dementia or Alzheimer's also goes missing. Let's go find out how our Torrance Police Department are helping our seniors. Robert Bernstein considers himself a lucky guy, having had two great parents provide him with everything he could imagine.
My father was an engineer with Northrop. Prior to that, he was in the Air Force, and he went to UCLA, and he graduated engineering school second in his class. So he's a very intelligent man, and through most of my life, any question you had for him, you could ask him a question, and he was razor sharp with an answer. I mean, he knew everything all the time. In fact, he knew too much all the time. And you could never sneak anything past him, and he would always amaze you with his intelligence.
But one summer, Robert's mother, Phyllis, noticed things were changing with his father.
She just started noticing that he was forgetting things. He wouldn't remember ordinary things that seemed like things he should always know. And she brought it to our attention. And at first, I don't know if I was in denial or I just didn't see it. I thought, well, people get old, they forget certain things. But over time, you could see he was forgetting. What tended to be the biggest thing is he started losing words. He would talk to you, and then suddenly an ordinary word he would forget. He would say, like, with breakfast, I want to have, that thing, it's yellow, it's like a fruit, and you go, banana. He goes, yeah, that's it, banana. So that was the biggest key there, is simple words that we would use since we were 1 year old, he would forget.
It was after Robert's mother passed away that he became more involved with his father's daily life and realized his aging father would require more assistance than he ever imagined.
His neurologist told him he could no longer drive. He needed to turn in his driver's license because it wasn't safe. So that was step one. We now needed somebody to drive him. And at the time, my mom was still alive, so we needed a driver for that. And then after my mom passed away, we didn't feel he could be left alone in the house because he could do things like accidentally leave the stove open or put metal in the microwave, just not even thinking that that's unsafe. So at first it was just somebody who could be there just to follow him around, make sure he didn't forget to take his pills or turn off the stove. But as time goes on, we see that he needs more and more care.
A year went by, and Robert hired a full-time caregiver to help his father. His dementia had grown into full-blown Alzheimer's.
I think the thing with Alzheimer's is you learn as you go. It's almost like having your first child. You don't know what to expect, you don't know what to do, and you learn as you go. It's the same thing with the Alzheimer's. We don't know what's happening tomorrow. We don't know where his disease is going to go, what more words is he going to forget, etc. So if you have somebody, a loved one or a family friend that has Alzheimer's, I would strongly encourage you to take these steps and register the person, because you never know when you turn around and they're gone. They just walked away thinking they're doing something intelligent when they're not. And you're powerless at that point. I mean, just the fear of not knowing where he could be, and he could be thinking he's going back to work even though he's been retired for 20 years. So we don't know what direction he might walk or where he might go or what he's thinking. And I'm sure most families of Alzheimer's patients are thinking the same thing. It's that fear of the unknown and the fear of what are they thinking or doing now.
Robert was also concerned his father would walk out the front door any time of the day and not find his way back home.
What's happening now is when my dad goes to sleep, he doesn't sleep through the night all the time. So sometimes he'll wake up at 2 in the morning. He might think it's time to get up and go outside for something. And he may not even know why he's going outside. He can't always verbalize what he's trying to do. So at times, Carol, the caregiver who lives with him full time, will hear him at the front door trying to open the front door to go out. And when she asks him what he's doing, he can't always tell her what he's doing. He may not even know what he's doing at that point. Or he may say, I'm going out to get the newspaper, or it's time to eat breakfast, or something like that. And we're very fortunate she was able to hear the door the couple of times this happened. And that's what made us decide we needed some form of an alarm on the door. So if she didn't wake up, that would wake her and she could get to him quickly.
This story has been told over and over about the fear family members have about people they love who have had an illness that takes away their rational thinking. But here in Torrance, help is available in a program called Return Home Registry.
We started the Return Home Registry program about 5 years ago. We kind of modeled it after a few other agencies here in the South Bay. Currently we have about 134 registrants in the program, and the main reason for coming up with the program and bringing it to Torrance is that we have a number of individuals, residents here in the city of Torrance, that for different reasons wander away from home, can't find home. They have conditions that cause them to kind of wander and not be able to find their way back. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of resources to place these individuals when we come across them in the field and they have no identification, no phone numbers, no contact information. And so really the goal of this program is to be quicker about returning them home to their loved ones, to their family, to their care providers.
This program is available thanks to the help of the Torrance Police Department, and getting registered is a very easy process. You can go online to torranceca.gov and click on Police and then on Return Home Registry. There, you need to enter all the information about the individual that you are registering.
You fill out an application, it asks you for your information, no medical information. We receive that information and we input it into our searchable database. And then with that information, when somebody wanders away or gets reported missing, rather than having a time delay of the police officer having to go to the scene, fill out a report, come back to the station, turn into records, and have that information input into the computer as far as their name, what they were wearing, photograph, where they like to visit, where we might find them. We already have that information loaded into the computer prior to. So when somebody calls and says, "Hey, so and so, walked out the front door today. He's been gone for several minutes." There is no downtime. We have that information. We can look them up into the computer. They have a return home registry number. And immediately the officers can begin their search for the individual. And that's the real benefit of the program.
Families can reduce the stress by knowing that their family member is registered. So what do our police officers do when they find an individual who is lost or just wandering around?
Oftentimes you bring them back to the station and you're just waiting for a phone call. You're waiting for that family member or that care provider to call the police and say, "Hey, I need to report a missing person." And then more often than not, it's the person that you've been sitting with for the past several hours.
What happens when a call comes to the police department that a person has gone missing? Our citizens will be amazed at how well this Return Home Registry works.
If I was in a patrol car today and I have my mobile digital computer, my MDC, and the call goes out of a missing individual by the name of so-and-so, description, clothing, last seen, so on and so forth, the officer can run that person in the computer and all the information will pop up in the computer, including the individual's picture. And then conversely, you could be driving around, and this happens quite frequently, and I recall it happening to me a bunch of times. You're driving around, you get dispatched to a found individual. The person hasn't been reported missing yet, and it could be 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. You find an individual wandering down the street, sitting at a bus stop. The person, for whatever reason, medical conditions, maybe it's Down syndrome, maybe it's autism, maybe it's Alzheimer's or some other condition, dementia. They can't communicate. They can't tell you their name, where they live, phone number, family members, things of that sort. You can query the database. You can go into the database of all the people who are registered in the Return Home Registry program, and you can quickly scroll through the pictures and identify the individual and say, "Oh, well, this is so-and-so, and this is the contact number for the care provider, this is his address." And again, you can have that person returned home before he's even or she's even noticed missing.
Patrol Officer Matthew Wessels has been involved with assisting family members safely return to their loved ones after they've gone missing.
An older gentleman down in the south end that exited his vehicle and started walking. We were able to find him at a bus stop, and I contacted him at the bus stop due to the fact that dispatch was able to identify him and put out some physical descriptors. Running him in our system, I was able to look him up, and the good thing about the system is it comes complete with, videos and pictures of the individual, so I can, verify his identity right there in the field.
The biggest fear is if he walks around the corner, I don't think he'll know how to get home. Even now, he walks every day, maybe even multiple times a day with the caregiver, but yet she's with him, and I'm not even sure he recognizes the different houses. And she goes one way. When they leave the house, they always go the same way. If he was to walk the other way, I think it'd be like walking in a foreign country to him. It would be completely unnatural, and he wouldn't know where he is. And if he gets one block past our block, it's completely unfamiliar to him at that point. So he would not be able to get himself home.
It's good to note that this program is available to residents of all ages, not just the elderly, but those who have autism, Down syndrome, dementia, or Alzheimer's.
Torrance borders numerous cities here in the South Bay. More specifically, we have a consumer of this program in the north end that borders Redondo Beach, and that individual has a autistic son that roams away often. And what happened was he ended up moving or walking into the city of Redondo Beach, and Redondo Beach was able to contact him for us, and utilizing the system, they were able to identify that this was the runaway we were looking for. They were able to call in through our dispatch and identify, and our officers were able to respond and assist and bring him back to his home. So with that individual, it's extremely important for us because he's considered critical when he goes missing. He requires a lot of supervision, so time is obviously very important, and the quicker that we can contact him, even through this system utilizing other agencies, the better it is for everyone.
The more registered in the program, the better. Many of those missing do not carry any identification, making finding who they are and where they live very, very time-consuming. This registry program provides those enrolled with an ID card that also has their own ID number, giving the police department important information about that person. It saves the family and the police department valuable time having all the information in a database right in their patrol car.
Once we get that information, we input that information into a searchable database. We call it Spellman. It's our CAD system. And then we will send a welcome packet to the family of the loved one. In that packet is going to be a laminated card with the individual's name, and we call it a Spellman number. That should be carried with that person at all times. It's a little note that will tell people, hey, if you find this individual, hi, my name is, Tom Smith. If you find me, please contact the Torrance Police Department. We will also send in that welcome packet some labels with the person's name and the Spellman number on the label. You can affix those labels to property, whether it's the person's cane or backpack or what have you. Again, anybody that contacts that individual, finds that individual, if they see the label, if they see the card, they will contact Torrance Police. They might be contacted in Redondo. These people that wander, they love to get on buses, and they end up, in a short amount of time, they'll end up in downtown LA or Hawthorne or Inglewood or Redondo Beach or what have you. So it might not be the Torrance Police Department that finds them. It could be another agency, and they don't have the database. They don't have this individual's information. But if they have that sticker, or if they have that card and it says contact Torrance Police, and there's a Spellman number which we assign them when they register in the program, they will contact us. We run that number into our searchable database, and boom, there's the person's information.
I hope this show has motivated you to become a part of Return Home Registry. Register somebody you know who has a physical or mental challenge so that they can be safe. I'm Hope Witkowsky reminding you, knowledge, it's a powerful tool. Tune in next time to Senior Scene for more secrets on successful aging.